if you would have told me in 2015 when I first put out music that your debut album would be a children's music album about airplanes, aviation, and aerospace, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. And actually last year I was battling with that because I was like, I don't know. I think sometimes when you're a music artist, you want to be taken seriously and you want people to respect you, and I feel respected, but at the same time, like when you put out a body of work, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to be like, children's music, like are people, and I love it. I love that I'm in this genre because I think it's allowed me to explore and do things that maybe I would have felt a little too afraid to do in R&B or gospel, that sort of thing. But now in 2026, I'm so excited. There's gospel on this album, there's salsa on this album, there's kiddie music on this album, there's regular stem music on this album, there's a cappella.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Catching Up with Corey. I have with me today a very, very inspirational guy. He's a local celebrity around these parts here in Wichita, Kansas. Let me tell you how much of a celebrity this guy is. I'm at my job working for Sedgwick County. This is when we were doing the DEI council, and I bring up the idea of this podcast, and almost immediately I'm told, you need to talk to Roy. I'm like, you mean Roy Moye III? And she's like, yeah, Roy Moye. Do you know him? I was like, we've hung out together a couple of times. There's a video floating around of us singing together. So I'm like, yeah, I need to talk to Roy. And it's been a couple of months in between. And we went to the concert. Who was it? CeCe Winans concert. CeCe Winans concert, and that's when I brought this to you. From aerospace engineering for 9 years to entrepreneur, Grammy-nominated. Roy, my brother, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good, and my apologies for taking so long. I know we were trying to schedule this, and I wasn't filling out the forms, y'all. Look, I was being a bad guest, okay, y'all, but just busy with life. But it's good. You're meeting me on this podcast in a wonderful season of my life. I am just feeling refreshed, renewed, excited about everything that is to come in 2026. Kind of feel like I've been in a wilderness for some time, for some years, and I feel like I'm exiting the wilderness.
Yeah, now you're blooming. Everything
Yes,
is in that blooming phase.
absolutely. And it's so interesting. You mentioned the Grammy nomination, which I'm so grateful for, and we can talk about that later. But the Grammys just happened. At the time we're recording this, the Grammys just happened a couple of days ago. And one of the albums that I got to vote for that I love is called Bloom by Duran Bernard. And it is literally like, yes, very much my life of blooming, from this wilderness to now being able to just see what do they call that? Reaping the harvest, right?
Okay.
So I'm excited about, I'm working on new music. I have a new album coming out this year, 2 new singles that come out February 20th. I'm back in school as a shocker twice over, pursuing my master's in education. So that's like, are you sure you want to do this, Roy? I'm doing 5 million things. And of course, as you said, an entrepreneur. So running my Stem Music LLC business and teaching kids about science, technology, engineering, and math through the power of music. And so I'm touring the country, I'm touring the state of Kansas, and and then a whole bunch of other stuff in between, there with other things musically. And so like getting involved a little bit more at the church that I attend, and now will be praise leader at the church university. Shout out University United Methodist Church here in Wichita, Kansas, right across the street from Wichita State. I just kind of accepted that role as a co-lead for the praise and worship team, which I'm really excited about. So yes, how am I doing? I'm doing well.
It sounds like it, man. So I didn't mention this. I didn't mention something in your bio. I'm going to mention it now. And I did it on purpose because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
So in that time that we were trying to connect, and I want you to talk about what you've been doing. So not only are you touring, singing, running your own business, you're also acting.
I'm acting? How am I acting? What am I?
Is that not it? That's not what we're in our trying to connect. Were you not in a play of some sort?
See, I be forgetting. Ish, y'all. I don't. I want to say I need a little bit more training to be called an actor. In the Music Theater Wichita holiday extravaganza. Yeah, I mean, so much has happened between then and now that I'm just like, oh yeah, we did that in December, beginning of December 2025. Yeah, but that was a great. It was a great time because I've done two things before with Music Theater Wichita. And the first one I think was in December of 2022, and it was a Christmas holiday extravaganza, but on television, where I got to sing one of my original Christmas songs, and then I sang Donny Hathaway's "This Christmas," which they didn't even like the people running Music Theater Wichita didn't even know of that song, which I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like this is the Black national anthem of Christmas music."
I did not know that.
So it was really cool to be able to bring that to that audience. So that was television, and then I did a show at the Botanica Gardens, Red, White, and Broadway, the summer of 2023. But I had never done something on a stage in Century Two, and so we were at the Mary Jane Till Theater, which is the smaller theater inside Century Two. And it was so fun. It was just fun to step back into the world, as you said, being a thespian, jumping back into theater. After, yeah, it'd been since 2023 that I had done something like that. It was hard too. It was very grueling in the sense of the schedule. One thing about Music Theater Wichita, they are very precise and phenomenal in putting up incredible shows in like 2 weeks. It amazes me every time. Like it's like 2 to 3 weeks and a show is up. And it's so phenomenal. And just being with the cast, my castmates who were just incredibly talented, and then being challenged as an artist, as a singer. I had to sing, I think I had three or four solos in the piece. And of course we had some group numbers, but the one song that like, man, it challenged the mess out of me was the Little Drummer Boy. And you wouldn't think that because you're like, oh, come, they told me, ba-ra-ba-pum-pum. But the beats in the song, the tempo and the different rests that were in the music, I was struggling to find them. So I just was like having to count in my head. And then there was movement, of course, where I was walking around the stage and they had these incredible post-collegiate folks who were tap dancing throughout, which is, that drummer boy sound.
Yep.
It just
Yep.
made it really, really cool. But I had to make sure I wasn't in their way and, like all those things. And so you're trying to move. I'm counting in my head. And then there were some big notes in the song too that I'm like, this is a lot. But, upon, reflection, it's like, I'm glad I was challenged. It was kind of like the first time in a while where I was like, yeah, you can't just get out there and sing. You actually have to be paying attention. And so I
Yep.
think that pushes you as an artist, which is awesome. So I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
So what are you working on now?
Yes, what I'm working on now is my album, my debut album, which is crazy that I can say that. I'm over the moon about it. It has been a long time coming. I think the first idea of this album was in 2022. So I really didn't start working on it until like April, May of last year. And so it's been it's been a journey. But it's called Stem Music Takes Flight. And so it's all about aviation and aerospace. But there are songs on there that are also about my life. So like the last song is called Born to Fly. And it's a very personal song, just really trying to inspire people that if you believe you were born to do something and maybe you haven't done it yet, maybe it's been taking a little while, maybe you're feeling a little down. I wrote that song in a space where I was like, man, some incredible things have happened in my career, but it's still not at the level where I thought it would be. And so I was like, well, why don't you write that song and allow that song to communicate the feeling, but also inspire people that they too can fly. And fly it represents whatever. So if you think you want to be a chef, you think you want to be a podcaster, you think you want to be an engineer, you think you want, you were meant to be whatever, you pick the thing, you were born to do it. And of course that means you have to work hard and everything, but that song is very inspirational. And then there's a salsa song on there that is called Vamos a Volar, which is We Are Going to Fly. So I'm currently writing that song right now. And just working with some incredible producers. All the music is original, having producers create beats or people make music from scratch. I mean, it has definitely been very challenging. I have not made a project like this before. And then, of course, you have the children's music on it too. So my first two singles come out February 20th. And so one of them is Born to Fly, which I really am excited for people to hear that. It's like my first gospel song is what I want to say. Like I've put out gospel music before, but it was very like Christian hip hop / contemporary / some gospel tones in it. But this Born to Fly song, has a, choir sounding, people singing at the end and the ad libs and the power in the music. So I'm excited for people to hear that. And then the other song is Taking Flight, which is with me and my 6-year-old niece. Her name is Zari. So
Oh,
we're singing about, if you've ever seen, you have kids, so you've been through this phase of life before where you're like, okay, we need to play that brush your teeth song. We need to
yep,
play that tie your shoe song, or we need
yep.
to play that sharing song. So I was like, I want to make a song because this album is all about flight and aviation. I want to make a song about someone taking their first flight or taking a flight. And so my niece had taken her first flight last summer. And that's where I got the idea from. And then I ran into a mom at the Learning Lab here in Wichita, which is a school that has multiple schools in it, a building that has multiple schools in it. And she runs it. And she was talking about her daughter, and they were taking a trip to Florida. And she did not sound happy. And I was like, why do you sound sad about going to Florida? I feel like going on vacation in Florida, a lot of people are happy. She's like, well, my daughter, she's 3 now, but when she was 2, we flew for the first time with her, and it was horrible. And so that conversation confirmed I need to write this song so that kids know what to expect. And
Did she say what was horrible? Sorry, I cut you off.
yeah, no. I think just kids having to be confined, having to have the seatbelt on, having to sit there, right? It's like you got to keep a 2-year-old distracted this entire time that you're flying. And then, of course, if there's turbulence and just different
Yeah,
things, the ears, sometimes the pressure in the ears popping. So she was just like all of the above. It was just, and she was like, I hated being that parent on the plane, where passengers were like, oh my gosh, get your kid. And so I remember that day I said, I'm going to write a song. I've been thinking about writing this song, and you are confirming that I need to write this song. So she was flying out that Saturday, and that Friday night, I wrote the whole song. And so
nice.
this was the day after I said I was going to write the song. I wrote the whole song, recorded the acapella version, sent it to her. She played it for her daughter. She's like, we're dancing in the kitchen to the song. It was acapella, it wasn't no music.
Yeah.
And then she went on the flight. And then it wasn't until December, I want to say, I think December or maybe November, because that was in the summer. I ran into her and I was like, hey, I never heard about the flight. Like, what happened? She was like, oh, she did really good. I was like, okay, that's a hook, line, and sinker. Like, that's it. Like, this is meant to be. And so I got my niece to introduce every verse. And so she'll say, Tio, what's first? You got to sit down, put your seatbelt on, and listen to the flight attendant. And then, Tio, why is the plane shaking? The turbulence. And so it just kind of goes like that. And then she does her own little ad libs at the end of the song, too, which is really
Oh,
special and cute. And I'm just
and
excited. And I'm turning that song into a book. And so I'm really excited to go on the journey of creating my very first children's book, because I think the lyrics of the song are close enough to a story in a book. So I'm very excited about that.
awesome, awesome. So tell a little bit more about the book. We spoke about it offline a little
Yeah.
bit.
So your daughter, everybody listening, Corey Stokes' daughter, Nala, we've collabed before. She's on one of my songs, I Can't Breathe, as a protester living in her truth, and just a Black woman's voice being so powerful, which Black women have done so much for society and in the world, and families and movements. And so I was like, I gotta have your voice, because I was at the protest. I was protesting. This is when George Floyd had been murdered. And so there was a protest in Derby. And Nala was at the front of that line with that bullhorn. Show me
Uh-huh.
what a revolution looks like. And I remember listening, and I was like, pull your phone out, Roy, pull your phone out. You can ask for permission later. And I just started recording, because I was like, I think that would be a great way to introduce this song that I was writing at that time. And then, I got her permission. Of course, she said yes. And then from there, she was like, I need your help on this project that I'm doing to graduate. And can you sing this song? And so I sang that song. And I remember at the time finding out that she's an artist, like someone who draws and does a number of things, right? But is really good at drawing and creating animation and stuff. And so I was like, I want to write a STEM music book, and I would love for you to be the illustrator. And she was like, awesome, let me know. And then a couple of years have gone by. And so the original idea of my children's book was the STEM Music Crew, which like the Bernstein Bears, how they had multiple series. And I still want to do a book series like that. But when I wrote this song, it just seemed like this is a no-brainer. And like, what if kids were able to have this book? Like, what if Southwest Airlines is able to, have these books in a mini size on the plane for kids to read or to color, or that sort of thing. And so so I'm excited about it. I want to work with Priska Barnes in Storytime Village, who is the GOAT, all things literature and bookmaking. And so just to figure out the process of how to write it. And then I would love for Nala to be the illustrator. And so, I just think it'll be encouraging. I have another song called Airplane Forces. And there was a semi-viral video, I want to say like 200,000 views on TikTok, of me performing it in Phoenix. And I'm thinking, this is such a simple video of me like walking in a circle, singing the song. I'm not even, in my opinion, I'm not even singing that great. I'm just like lift, weight, thrust, and drag. The forces that an airplane has. Lift, weight, thrust, and drag. The forces that an air. That's literally what I sound like. And so people were losing it. They were like, oh my God, look at the kids following him. And look at this. But then I would see these comments that would say, I'm a nervous flyer. And the next time I fly, I'm going to play this song. You need to tell these airlines to play this song. And so as I started thinking about that, I was like, wow, now I actually have a song that talks about the process of flight. And in the verse where it talks about turbulence, it says, we know the plane was handled to do this very thing, like to handle this turbulence. So we take a couple breaths. There's even like time in the song where you and so I'm just like, I'm just imagining how many people I think it's going to help and encourage or comfort having to, if they're having to fly and they're a nervous flyer. So I think with the book, it'll help teach kids what that experience is like. And I think will be a great supplemental aid for parents. We're going to Disney World. Okay, yay. We're going to fly. Okay, what does that mean? Let's read this book. I think it'll be just a really cool thing for families to have.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm waiting for that song to come out so I can listen to it. I am a nervous flyer.
Oh my gosh.
I am a nervous flyer.
Well, February 20th, it's yours. It's yours. It's a great song. I think it just touches on, I feel like, the main points. And then at the very end of the song, my niece I was like, there's another song after this that I'm making. Can you help me like transition into it? And she's like, yeah. I was like, so when we finish, we're going to go, yay, we took a flight. And so there's that celebratory moment. And then she goes, but Tio, how did they park the plane? And so then it goes right into the park the plane, which is a fun song for kids to like learn how marshals at the airport use the wands to park the plane. So yeah, I'm just excited about this whole album because never in a million years did I think my debut album as a music artist. Like I've put out 2 gospel projects and you could say they're albums, but they were more like EPs, like bodies of work that were solid, but not a full theme or like I don't know. For me, I'm like an album, like when it's an album. And so to have this be my first album is kind of wild. If you would have told me in 2015 when I first put out music that your debut album would be a children's music album about airplanes, aviation, and aerospace, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm good. And actually last year I was battling with that because I was like, I don't know. I think sometimes when you're a music artist, you want to be taken seriously and you want people to respect you. And I feel respected, but at the same time, like when you put out a body of work, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to be like, children's music, like are people, and I love it. I love that I'm in this genre because I think it's allowed me to explore and do things that maybe I would have felt a little too afraid to do in R&B or gospel, that sort of thing. But now in 2026, I'm so excited. There's gospel on this album. There's salsa on this album. There's kiddie music on this album. There's regular stem music on this album. There's a cappella, and there's so many collaborations like Buckner Elementary, their drum line is on this album doing the pilot alphabet. Seeds of Life Summer Camp from St. Mark UMC, they're at the end of the song Air Capital of the World. And then part of the album was funded by the city of Wichita through a grant, an Arts Thrive grant. And I partnered with Arts Partners, and we had a summer camp in the summer of 2025 with 17 high school students who are all also on the album, whether they're actually rapping and singing or they were listed as songwriters. And so I'm so grateful because I'm like, this is a Wichita album. Like, this is a Wichita album. There's a song called The Rocket Song, and it's me and 3 other Wichita children's music artists. It's just amazing to see how it's come together. And I'm like 4 songs away from it being done. And I'm just like, okay, it'll be around 16 tracks on that album. So yeah.
So you mentioned STEM music a couple of times while you were talking. Tell us what that is. Because I know when Micheline initially told me Roy left his job and he's doing STEM music, my first response was, what the heck is that? So go ahead. Tell us what it is.
That's a great question. And also a lot of people's first response was like, you left a corporate job for what? I was saying that to myself in January 2024. Like, are we sure? Or January 2025, should I say? January 2025. So I left my corporate job in September of 2024. And decided to pursue STEM Music full time. And STEM Music is a company with a mission to inspire the next generation of multicultural science, technology, engineering, and math professionals through engaging in entertaining music. So that's the mission. In short, though, it's me going to schools, children's museums, library systems, festivals, you name it, churches, to teach the next generation about science, technology, engineering, and math. And the specific reason why it was started was because I happen to be Black, Puerto Rican, and Mexican, and working in industry as an engineer at Spirit Aerosystems, which is now Boeing Wichita. Again, just not seeing a lot of people who look like me in the room of engineers. You know, you have a room of 40 engineers or 60 engineers, and you being the only one, or maybe there was 3 people who look like me. And I was already involved in National Society of Black Engineers. I'm still a member at large today, but heavily involved in college, like from a chapter standpoint, and being on leadership and that sort of thing. And so that was already in me to want to try to further diversity within engineering and STEM. And so I was volunteering in Real Men, Real Heroes, which is now called Heroes Academy, back in 2015, 2016, 17, that sort of thing. And they asked me to do a math lesson. So Real Men, Real Heroes, which is what it was called at the time, was young Black boys. And we were mentors to these young Black boys on Monday nights. So we would talk about life stuff, and it was all about mentorship. And so they got a grant one time. They were like, we need you to do a math lesson, and you're the STEM person. You're an engineer. And I'm like, they were like, you have a math minor. I'm like, I know, but we're not friends. Okay. I'm not the math person. By the grace of God, I made it through all those math classes to have a math minor, which is still wild to me this day. So I was like, and my boys are not going to like this. Like, once you get to know your students, because I was the 3rd and 4th grade teacher for Monday nights, and then I became 5th and 6th grade. But I was like, they're not going to like this. And so I just remember being desperate and being like, I have to do something creative. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, the big song was Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay. And I was like, I'm going to remix that to Watch Me Solve the Equation. And so I went into the classroom and I was like, okay, we're doing math today. And they were and I was like, okay, but just let me do this one thing. I just want to sing this song. And then as I watch me solve the equation, boom, boom, watch me solve the equation, and like the room erupted, and they were dancing, singing along. I put a math problem in the song. Like, it was just the room, the energy in the room. I just remember it shifting. And then when we got to the actual lesson, which was simple algebra solving for X, you just had kids running up to the board, fighting over the marker. Like, I remember seeing that and being like, whoa, what just happened? And that was the inception. Like, that's what started STEM Music, because after that moment, I kind of left that night like, you got to do something with that. But I was insecure about being an engineer. Like, from the outside, people looking at me on the outside at work or whatever, they'd be like, oh, he's a successful engineer. Like, his packages are released on time. He does good work. But I think for me, I was going through a struggle of just like, this does not feel so natural to me. I feel like I'm a fish swimming upstream in mud. Like, that was my experience within the engineering world. And I think part of that is because I didn't explore enough to find the thing in engineering that I would enjoy, because it's such an expansive career field, right? But, I just was like, I don't know, this whole engineering thing. So then I was like, well, then how am I going to be the person to try to encourage kids to get into engineering, get into STEM, and I'm trying to leave it, and that plagued me for 3 years. So 2016 is when that happened with those boys. And then 2019, my best friend is like, because I kept talking about it. I would bring it back up like, man, this STEM music, I was drawing the logos, I was doing all, and then she was like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. It's okay. Like, you can take the pressure off yourself. And when she said that, I was like, nah, like, I got to do something. And so I was like, just write one song and see how you feel. And I wrote the song. We call it STEM Music, which is the theme song. And I remember dancing in my kitchen in my old apartment, just like, this is what it sounded like in my head. Because my thing with STEM music is I didn't want it to be children's music. I wanted it to be regular sounding music, but the content, the lyrics were about STEM. And I wanted to be bangers. Like, I wanted to be things that made kids like move, especially kids of color, because what I found is like my family members, my nieces and nephews, but my cousins, should I say, because I only have one niece, but my cousins, listening to all this hip hop and stuff, that probably some stuff they shouldn't be listening to at their age. But I'm like, that means they can handle this type of music. They don't need this little baby sounding stuff, Right. But that was the impetus for STEM music. And so, 2019 comes, I make that song. And then at that time in my music career, I was like really climbing in gospel, and I made it to Sunday Best. And I thought that was my moment. I thought that's when I was going to become, I didn't think I was going to win the show. I thought I was going to be top 5 and get an independent music record deal and still have to work hard, but I would be signed and I would be, and that did not happen. I made it to the top 20, which was awesome. And I was cut. And I was, at that point, I was at my music low. Like, I just felt like rock bottom. Like, all these expectations, all these people rooting for me and nothing. And I remember that's when I was like, you know what? I ain't got nothing to lose. Let's make an EP about STEM and the STEM Music EP and start STEM Music. And that's when I started the company in November 1st, 2019. Stem Music LLC was born. And then I recorded this EP at my dining room table. And the crazy thing is we're in 2026 and I am still touring off the music on that EP that I created at my dining room table in 2019. It's like, what?
So from that time, I think every 3 swipes on my phone as I'm going through Instagram, it's a song of yours, or you you performing. I swipe up 3 times and there you are.
Well, I appreciate the support. That means that you're probably liking stuff or watching it where the algorithm is sending stuff back to you. So I appreciate it. But yeah, and the theme song that first song that I kind of took a chance on doing something with Stem Music, I ended up partnering with the Society of Women Engineers chapter here in Wichita in the pandemic. I think it might have been 2021. So things were still kind of shut down. And they were like, we're going to do everything virtual this year. Would you want to come to this place and record your songs in front of a green screen? And I was like, yeah, why not? And then they'll disseminate it out to the kids and stuff. And one of them was, so I did all the songs off my EP. And we call it Stem Music Song. That video has 46 million views. And every time I think about it, like, I just got chills right now because it was like, that was the first song. Like, that was when you said, okay, let me just write something to see how I feel. And to know that it has that many views is just like, I think for people listening, it's an important thing that when God gives you something or whoever you believe in, like when you feel this thing in your gut, in your soul, like, I'm supposed to be doing this, like, it's worth taking the chance to explore it and do what I live by, which is do what you can with what you have right where you're at. I recorded that song on my dining room table. It's not like I was in some professional studio doing all this thing, right? So just not allowing the lack of resources to stop you from doing something to pursue the thing that you feel like you're supposed to be doing. Because little did I know, I thought R&B, I thought gospel. No, what allowed me to quit my corporate job and become a full-time singer and artist, which is what my dream was? STEM music. Yeah. Children's music. Like, what? And then as I got into doing it more, then I started to see, okay, the initial way I wanted to do STEM music works. There's an audience for that. But then you do have, I call them the goobers. You do have the goobers, and making children's music that is a little bit redacted and a little bit, chill, kind of like the Taking Flight song. You gotta sit down, but I see. It's still a bop, but it's not as intense, right? So It allowed me to start learning, and I got introduced to the children's music community. And then once I started being in that community, I started seeing, like, here's some other ways you can make music that may not be exactly what your original vision was, but you can still have some of those songs and some of these other songs that are a little bit geared toward these different audiences. And so I feel like on my album, there's a song for every generation. There's a song for people who are adults. There's a song for people who are high school, middle school, and there's songs for little goobers. The rocket song is like, you need fuel for your rocket. You need fins to steer a pointy. Like, it's very like kiddish, So yeah. I just love that it has that variety on the project.
That's awesome. All right, let's get into this now. First question I like to ask everybody that comes on the show: how do you define success?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I define success, and it's changed over the years for me. I think it's living and operating in your purpose and making an impact, whether it's one person or the 46 million that I just mentioned. I think sometimes success can be put on a pedestal as like, you got to have this certain thing, you got to have this certain accolade. And I fall into that too from time to time. But what happens when I'm at a show and a kid comes up and says, oh my gosh, Mr. Roy, I really love this song, or I love this music. Oh my gosh, Mr. Roy, I now think I can at least go to my math class and feel a little bit better. That to me is success. And that may be just one kid out of all the kids you've just performed for. Uh-huh. When parents come up to me and say, I thought I was going to be scrolling on my phone the whole time. And wow, this was very like, man, it was multidimensional, and I feel like I learned something, and it was so cool to see my kids. When parents last summer were coming up to me saying, my child, I have 2 boys, clearly you saw them in the show and you included them in the show, but one of them has autism. And I was really worried about bringing him to the show because I just didn't know how he was going to handle it. But I wanted him to be with his brother. And the fact that he was able to be with his brother, but he also got to participate is just amazing. Like to me, that is success because I know that I'm in my purpose. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And in doing that, I think also if you kind of focus on, because sometimes you're so focused on this goal or this trophy or this thing, and it's okay to have those goals. But I think a lot of times when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, a lot of that stuff will come with it. It'll just come because you're so focused on doing what you're supposed to be doing. So to me, that's success, is being in alignment with your purpose, your calling, and just encouraging people, impacting lives. Like, I think that's the big thing for me is like, did I make somebody's day better? Did I, help somebody feel like they can go on? Did I help somebody understand that they're seen and they're worthy? So that's success for me.
Okay, so you spoke about how you inspire others and inspiring the next generation. What's inspiring you?
Right now, God is inspiring me. I'm in a place right now where my faith has been really restored. I'm a person of deep faith. And I think I've just been on a journey for the past 5 years. Coming out, I'm gay. And that mixing with church a lot of times is like a no. And so I think I just had to go on this journey of like, is it okay to still be bold about my faith in the way that I once was because I'm gay and I don't know how that fits, which is sad that, that's even a thing. But I've come to a place now where it's like, yeah, I had to surrender certain things and give God my yes. And through that, I mean, the doors of the barn are just blown off. Like there's so many things happening in my world in the last 2 weeks that I know it's from my yes to God. A blind yes of like, yes to your will, yes to your way. So God is currently really inspiring me right now. I will also say, I think I'm inspired by other musical artists. There's an artist by the name of Duran Bernard, and he has an album called Bloom that just won a Grammy. Woo! For him, best progressive R&B album. But someone like that who's living out loud, living their truth, really depositing amazing things into the world. Who else? What else is inspiring me right now? I think some of the classes and things that I'm having to read in my master's program is really inspiring me because it's showing me and teaching me how people learn, how I learn, and how I can use this knowledge to further the way that I show up as a teacher, the way that I show up as an educator. And that's very inspiring because it's like the better I can get at what I'm doing, the deeper the impact in those who I'm working with. Dr. K. Muck Morgan, she's the GOAT. Like, I love her. I love Derek Morgan. They're like second parents to me, and they're always inspiring me. I think just the work that they do in the community, the work that they do in their jobs professionally, and how they show up for their family, very, very inspiring. So that's just a tip of the iceberg of a couple of things that are inspiring me right now.
Yeah. What are you getting your master's in?
Master's of Education, Learning and Instructional Design. And that came about because I was at South by Southwest EDU, which is an educational conference in Austin, Texas. And I was presenting the Stem Music workshop that I had kind of just drummed up in my mind and brought the supplies and had teachers doing stuff. And after that workshop, they were like, do you have curriculum? I was like, curriculum? Like, that wasn't my intention. And so upon reflection, and I had been thinking about a master's for some time, but it was usually MBA. But I didn't feel inspired, to your point. When I thought about MBA, I don't know. I was like, this will be purposeful because I know I'm headed towards entrepreneurship, but I don't know. I just don't feel inspired. And so when I saw that there was a master's of education, but specifically learning and instructional design, which is all about developing curriculum and corporate trainers and different things like that, I was like, I think this is what I should be doing. So I prayed about it, and God was like, yeah, you need to apply. And the next thing you know, I'm getting an email from my advisor talking about it's time to register for your classes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm really doing this. And so I'm now in my second semester of grad school. And it's been very rewarding. I feel like I'm learning so much about how I can be better at what I'm doing. And that's kind of why I did it. And I will be putting out Stem Music curriculum this year, April timeframe. So that is another thing I'm working on as well. So I'm very excited about that.
So entrepreneur, singer, student, actor, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing?
Yeah, I think right now, one of the greatest challenges is time. How do you balance it all? I don't know that it's actually balancing. I think it's just prioritization, making sure you're prioritizing the things that need to be done. Like, okay, when is this assignment due? Okay, I'm trying to record and get in the studio. Okay, how do I, so there is a lot to juggle. And so I think that's a little bit of a struggle right now. I think another struggle is all of the ideas up here that I want to get done and do, and not having the capacity, which I know that relates back to time, but it's a little bit of a different look at it of like, man, I want to do this or I want to do that. Or sometimes running into people and they're like, well, have you thought about this? And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't been able to do anything with it because I'm doing
No
this.
time.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the greatest struggle. And then I will say, I mean, it's not a struggle anymore as of today, but something that I was really struggling with was my faith in ministry, which in 2016, I was called to ministry by God. It was a very clear, firm call. And I stepped into ministry, was doing all the things. And then when I came out, was kind of like separated from, and I kind of felt like I disqualified myself. And there were other things that played into it. We don't need to go into all those details, but I do feel like I kind of disqualified myself. And so for the past 5 years, it's been this journey of like, where do I fit? Like, and almost like a conversation to God of like, I thought you called me to this, but I guess not. I guess it wasn't. I guess it was for that season and that's it. And I'll never do this again. And until recently, where it has been like reaffirmed, and like, praise God for the church that I attend and the Pastor Yolanda White Oliver and University United Methodist Church, for taking me in for a year. It's been a year where I was singing on the praise team, but not leading anything or whatever, and just attending church. That was it. And then her asking me like, hey, there may be somebody shifting out. Would you consider leading the praise team? And that was kind of that was a struggle. Okay. That was a big question. Like, there's a lot of trauma associated with that. There's a lot of fear associated with that. And really, it's only been since last week that I said yes to that and got over that struggle where I feel very good about it. But that was a struggle for a while. And I think there are a lot of people in the world who are struggling with faith and trying to grapple with, where do I fit, or how can I fit in with this? And I think I would tell somebody like, you don't have to fit. You can just exist, and God will take you as you are, and you just go on this journey with God. And so, but it's easy to say that once you've gone through the whole journey. But yeah, so that's what
I wholeheartedly believe that if you're called by God to do something, He's not calling part of you.
Yeah.
He is calling all of you. And
Come on, Corey. You better preach.
Yeah, He's calling you to be your authentic self. So if you can't be your authentic self, then it is not a calling.
You trying to make me cry on here. You better calm down. You trying to make me cry on here.
But you're doing good, brother.
No, but that's beautiful. And what's so interesting is, even in doing STEM music, makes me emotional. Not doing praise and worship, but doing STEM music. I was in San Diego, and I'll never forget. And it's happened since then, but San Diego 2023. And I was in Petco Park, big stadium, and doing the STEM music show. And there was these people, they were sitting on this little hill, and I started handing out stickers afterwards. And so I went up to them. I was like, oh, here's some, do you want stickers? They're like, yeah. They're like, can we ask you a question? I was like, yeah. They were like, are you a Christian? And when they asked me that question, I said yes, and it was quick, but in my mind, time froze, because it was like, do I say yes? Like, I know that I am, but I'm gay, and I don't know. And like, that's what was going on, right? But I said yes very quickly because it was just a natural response. I was like, yes, I am. And they were like, well, we just want you to know we saw the Holy Spirit the entire time you were performing. And I was like, what? I'm singing science songs, technology songs. And that took my breath away, and it showed me exactly what you were saying. Like, He's in me. So wherever I am, He is also.
He is there also, yes.
And that's going to ooze out of me, because at the end of the day, all my giftings, all the things you're mentioning, actor, you singer, student, all the things, it's Him that is working through me. And I've never been disillusioned about that ever in my life. I've never been a singer or somebody like, it's just me. Now, have I been a knucklehead and been like, I'm going to try to do some things or whatever, and be like, and then you crack and you, or whatever, because God got to check you, He got to make sure that that is Him. But yeah, like I've never been disillusioned about that all of my giftings, all the things that I'm able to do, it is nothing but God and His grace going before me and covering me and allowing me to do these things. But that's a beautiful thing that you just said, that if He calls you, He wants all of you.
All of you.
Because in 2016, it was so clear. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then when you go through and you see your impact, you see God's impact through you on people's lives. And then for that to be taken away, it's like, I was just so confused for the longest time of like, because I'm gay? Like, like what? Like, I this is not making sense. And so to go through but I needed to go through this journey, because now I have a testimony. Now I have a testimony that I can share with so many other people and let anyone know, like, yeah, if you want to access this relationship with God, it's there for you to have, and no one can take it from you. So yeah, I'm in a season right now where I'm like, y'all better watch out. I ain't in hiding no more. Like it's over. Like I'm worshiping in spirit and in truth, and I'm so excited to just allow other people to experience the presence of God and everything that He's going to do.
Yeah. So we spoke about your successes, and there are many. So let's talk about your failures. Let's
Yeah,
talk about some of your failures.
I love this.
Yeah. What have you failed at, and what did it teach you?
Yeah. I love this question the most because I used to run from this. I used to run from acknowledgement of this in my head, in my life, in my journey. But if you're a human, you're going to fail. And it's like, ugh, I hate that. No, I want to be perfect. I want to do everything right. So some failures. Let's go back to Sunday Best. Sunday Best, they gave me this song. What was the song they gave me? I love you. I love you. I can't remember the song right now. But anyway, they gave me the song and it was a very like straight song. Like it didn't really have a lot of climax, that sort of thing. And so I remember getting that song and being like, but then they're not going to hear my voice. They're not going to hear that I sing high notes. They're not going to hear that I do this. They're not. And so I went into that competition and my voice was going through I had a vocal injury at the time I didn't know about. I mean, I kind of knew something was going on, but I was just like, you made it on the show. You got to sing. And so I tried to craft the song to showcase different aspects of my voice. And when I went out there and I sang, I hit every note, but it was hollow. And I'll never forget like leaving. And the judges said what they said, but what I realized was that whenever you're singing gospel, R&B, kids music, whatever it is, it's all about a feeling. Like, and that's what I'm realizing even with the example I just gave you. I lift, weight, thrust, and drag, the forces that are. But if you watch the video, I'm in it with the kids and we're like flying and we're, it's the feeling. So notes are great. And that, and so I had to learn what I took away from that failure, because I didn't make it to the top 10, therefore not making it to the top 5, which is what I thought my potential was. The song was Falling in Love with Jesus. That's what it was. Falling in love with Jesus, falling in love with Jesus, falling is the best thing I've ever done. And that's it. Like, I mean, and so I was like, just trying to do all these things, this roller coaster of vocal notes, when I probably should have just sang it in a higher key and really felt it. Falling in love with Jesus. Yes, I am. Like that, immediately I feel something. Me personally.
Yeah, I felt that one.
So it's like, that was a huge lesson walking away from that. Another failure, and it happened to be another television show, but it was such an important lesson for me to learn. I'm with my good friend, Justin Hall, who's my music collaborator partner. I just love him. I love him, partner in crime in music. We go on the show, Don't Forget the Lyrics. And mind you, when the producers reached out, they reached out to me. I didn't apply for the show or whatever. They reached out to me in March of 2024. No, in March of 2023. And I said, no. No, I don't have a good music catalog. I know people see me as a singer and stuff. They're like, no, but you can sing and you're working and you're an engineer and we're looking for people just like you and you got the energy. And I told them no. And they left. And then October comes around and a totally separate person from that show reaches out and says, and I was like, are you the same person? They were like, oh no, somebody else reached out. They kept finding me because of this hashtag singing engineer. Like that's how they kept finding me. And so this lady was persistent. She was like, no, you've got to. And I'm like, no. And so she's like, just go to the next round and do some interviews. And so I did it. It's a long story short, made it to the show. You need a friend on the show. So you can phone a friend. You have this option to phone a friend or whatever. And so I asked Justin if he would go and he said yes. So we go to the show. Yeah, I had rehearsals for the show. I don't even know if people did, but I was like, play this song, pause it. And I have to finish. I mean, we had multiple rehearsals. And my friend Justin is a very like, fly by the seat of your pants type of person. So he was like in rehearsals, like, this boy is really serious. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, like, I want to do it well. So we get there and the producers kept telling us like, you may come in with a game plan, but you might need to switch it on the fly when you're on the stage. Cause just be open. But I think I was, just so committed to like what we had practiced and how, So I'm on the stage with Niecy Nash, having a great time, get the first one right, get the second one right, which was Mario, Let Me Love You. And then the third one is funk. And so I'm like, okay, I think I'll know something in this category. And so it's your thing, do what you want to do now. And I'm like, okay. I think I got this. I still had 4 words left that I could use to plug in. And so I'm plugging all the words in and I'm like, there's still one blank left. And I'm like, I do not know what the word is. And it's crazy because any other order of using my 4 words left, I probably would have got it. I think, And so the word was, I can't tell you. And then blank, 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 blank. And so the words are who to sock it to. And I ended up putting who you sock it to. I can't tell you who you sock it to. And I
could tell you, I was yelling at you.
I know there was so many.
That episode, I was yelling at you. I was like, no.
So many people texted me and like, why did you say? And so the funny thing is like, I did not know that song was by the Isley Brothers. That kind of tripped me out. I was like, wow, I didn't know that was by them. 2, the only time I hear that song is in this type of an example. It's your thing. Do what you want to do now. At Dylan's, get this on sale right now. Da, da, da. And then it's your thing.
Yeah. It just repeats.
I've never heard the whole song in its entirety. So at the, so bam, bam, bam. Now I'm getting kicked off the show. They go to my friend. And Niecy Nash asked me, do you want to use your lifeline of your friend? But in Roy's mind, in practice, we went over the genres that he knew, that I knew, and rock was still up there, country was still up there. And I was like, those are the ones I need to wait to use Justin for those. That's what Roy, so I was just refusing to be open to something different in the moment. Even though Niecy Nash said, you sure you don't want to use your friend? So then they call him up and Justin knows the word. And so it just was one of those times, and I remember that moment feeling so, just like bad for Justin, like being sitting there and he knows this and I brought him all this way and then I didn't pick him. Like that really hurt me. And then also I just feel like, there you are, national television again, failing in front of everyone, But the beautiful lesson that I learned out, ask for help now because later may never come. I was so worried about later. Negro, if you don't get this one, you ain't got later. Ask for help now because later may never come. And that failure, the album that I'm talking about, all the things, there's so much stuff that has happened since that point where I've wanted to revert back to the old me and be like, no, I don't need any help, or no, I'm not open to this. And where I remember that moment on the show and I've said, I'm open, or I need help. Can you help me? The song I just told you about, Born to Fly. We recorded it in the summer. We had a mixed orchestra of students and professionals. And so some of the notes were off when we listened to it in this past December. And I remember being like, but I need to get this song out. And Justin's like, I have a quartet. They play at Holy Savior for Christmas and we do weddings together. So if you need me to text the quartet, we could be. And I was like, I wanted to say no. And I literally said, I'm open to that. Just like that. I'm open to that. Then we played the song a little bit more. And yeah, it just got worse. And so I said, okay, can you text them right now? He texted them. And then they came and played. And they played so amazing. Not only did they play amazing, 3 of them play for the Wichita Symphony. They're on my album now. So nice. It's just one of those things where that lesson, that failure taught me so much about surrender and asking for help now. Don't wait. Ask now.
Yeah. So what advice would you give the younger generation, the people that are looking up to you right now? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, great question. 1, be yourself, love yourself. Be yourself, love yourself. And I always try to tell the next generation, and really anybody, but when I'm working with students, you are worthy just the way you are. You do not have to fight for worthiness. And that's something I have to remind myself. I think a lot of times in life as humans, we're trying to figure out a way to get worthy, like to be worthy. Not realizing that being a human being, just existing, you are worthy. And so I try to say that to students all the time. 2, do what you can with what you have right where you are. I said that before, but that is a phrase that I live by. And I'm telling you, it's powerful because sometimes we have these lofty dreams or goals or even problems. And we're trying to well, there's nothing I can do about this. And oftentimes you may not have the answer, but someone you know has the answer. You may not, I don't know strings players, but Justin knows strings players, right? So just by me saying, I want to write this song and I want it to be a song that is made with instruments. I don't know how to do that. I'm over at my friend Justin's house. He gets up, he walks over to his piano and he starts playing my song and I'm crying. Then from there, Ella Monique Backus from Arts Partners, when we won the grant, she's like, oh, Nassau, that's this North something strings group. We can have them come. Oh, Justin's like, I know this guitar player. Then, this bassist. And next you know, Now you have all these musicians playing on this song. Oh, background singers. I used to lead praise and worship. So I started reaching out to some people, blast from the past, and got people to get. So that's all doing what you can with what you have right where you're at. So I love telling people that. Ask for help. I know I just said that, but that is a big one that I always share the little, I usually say ask for help now because later may never come. I usually say that all the time. And then the last thing I would say is, this is hard, but enjoy the journey. Try to be present and enjoy the journey. And that's really hard when you are a person who has lofty dreams, goals that maybe you tell people and they say, that's cute, that's okay. Sometimes people can't see your visions. Sometimes people, if God put it in you, you have to believe that it's going to happen and that it's probably going to take longer than you want it to take for it to happen, which is always like, yeah.
I think one of the quotes that I'm often telling people from my childhood, my mother and my grandmother would always say, it's not in your time. If God put it on you, it's in God's time.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better. To think that my debut album is coming out in 2026 is like, and I started in 2015. I didn't think it was going to take this long. I did not think it was going to take this long. But to your point, where I am in my life, it's time. Like, this is the time for this. And so I couldn't agree more. And Andre DeShields, is that his name? He is a Broadway star. He was the original Wiz in The Wiz on Broadway. I'm just doing a little fact check. DeShields. Yep. Okay. I got it right. Andre DeShields. When he won his Tony, which I'm pretty sure he was in his 60s at the time. Right now, he's 80. So he might've been in his 70s. Yeah. He's probably in his 70s when he won his first Tony. I mean, think about that. You're doing theater that long. And one of the things he said in the speech was slowly. Oh, and I remember watching it live and I was like, oh, I was dying inside because I was like, I don't want that to be the truth. He was like, slowly is the quickest way to get to where you want to be. Oh man, it just like dagger in the heart. I remember watching that speech and being like, what? And he's like 70. So you're like, so yeah. But I think what God has helped me, and this happened in around 2021, is if you focus on enjoying the journey and taking every performance, or if you're a chef, every meal you make, or what, like in your world, whatever that thing is, enjoy it like it's your last. The journey all of a sudden becomes more fun. And you really start to experience this thing that you're doing from a different perspective. And that really, God had to sit me down in 2021 and share that with me. Like, child, give me your music career. You choking it right now because you're like, why is it not happening? Why is things not, give it to me and enjoy what you're getting to do, and everything else will come, and you keep, and the Holy Spirit be like, you keep saying you want to do this for the rest of your life. So you got time, you got time. So just enjoy the process. And once I started enjoying the process, yeah, it changed for me. So it's like every STEM music concert I do. Today, as we're recording this, on this day, I got to do a virtual performance for 55 boys in Grenada through this partnership. And they're teaching them about STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And so someone reached out on social media, was like, could you do a cameo performance to get this session? And now I'm going to be meeting every time they get on Zoom. I'm going to be meeting it's like once a month or something like that. So even in that, I'm like, I'm singing to kids in Grenada. Like, what? This is crazy. It's a blessing. So yeah.
Okay. I had something, but I lost it.
It'll come back.
It'll come back to me. But what habits have you developed over the years? You started in 2016, and I remembered what I wanted to say.
Oh, you say.
The journey is you becoming the person you're meant to be to handle the success that's coming your way.
Say it one more time. Say it just so people.
The journey is you becoming the person you are meant to be on your way to success.
That is the most accurate thing that I've had to learn about this journey. There are certain things that God would not allow me to experience because I just wasn't ready for it.
Huh?
And now in my life, I trust that more than ever. It's like, especially like, seeing your peers do stuff that you're like, I want to do that too. Or when is it my turn? That sort of thing. And it's like, you're not ready and you need to trust the timing. I mean, even with this album, I was trying to put it out in August of last year. Delusion. everybody say delusion. Because I wasn't ready. And now where I feel about the album, everything, it's like, oh, I see why you were making me wait. I also see that in waiting, more people got to be a part of this. And God revealed to me, because it's not about you and your album.
Yeah.
This album now, as it stands, has touched so many people in the development process that when it does have success, because I speak that, life and death is in the power of the tongue. When it does have success, guess what? All of these people get to have success.
Yes.
That's what this is about, Roy. And that he clocked me really well. Yeah, it was like November, December timeframe. And I was like, okay. And so you're absolutely right. Like, just being ready for the time, for the moments. Yeah, I can't agree with that more. That's amazing.
People beat themselves up because they're not achieving it as quick as somebody else, or they're not getting what they want out of their efforts. It's because you're not ready. You're not done with the journey yet.
And trust me, 9 years at Spirit Aerosystems, you talked to Micheline, his wife, when we were at United Way. That was Jesus himself letting me take a break from Spirit Aerosystems because I was losing it. I was like, I can't believe I'm still not doing music full time. And then to think that was 2018 and I would have to wait till 2024. Woo, Jesus. Yeah. But to your point, all throughout that journey, I was making music on the side. But then when I moved to HR in 2021, I started doing stuff that I see now helps me run my business the way I run my business.
Yes.
Business development, all the things. Even United Way, when I was working there as loan executive, we had to do all this business development, going out and doing cold calls and cold knocks on all of that stuff is now, as an entrepreneur, I have this knack to do different things, writing different contracts, plans, things for people when we had to go to conferences and you get a booth and you have to, all this stuff that it's like, it all
comes together. Yeah. All right. This is the last question.
Okay.
What habits or habit, could be one or multiple, have you had to develop in order to change your life for the better, to help you get to this stage?
Yeah. I think I go back to the asking for help. That's a big one from the show. And since then, I've just seen my life. I've seen my life enhanced so much due to being able to ask for help. Something else that is an advice thing, but also in this, a habit. I'm so used to doing things by myself that's why, one, it's hard to ask for help. But even just imagining other people a part of the process is like, oh, that's too vulnerable, or I don't know. And something I put on my vision board last year was the African proverb that, go fast alone, go farther together. And that is a habit that I really leaned into. I put it on my vision board last year and I leaned into it. And God gave me the opportunities to lean into it, that you really will go farther together. And so that's something that I really try to commit to in my life. Because it's easy to just be like, oh, I can just do this on my own. It's like, no, you need community. You need to be able to lean into that. And then a recent habit, in this year, that's on my vision board this year, is getting up and walking on the treadmill in the mornings. One, for health, but also to do my devotional, look at my calendar, my schedule, and answer quick emails that, can be answered quickly. And that is something that is changing the game for me right now, because I have a calendar, but I don't be looking at it. And then stuff comes up and then, because I got 50 million things going on. And so it's just a great time in the morning, one, to connect with God, but then also to look at this calendar. I put stuff on the calendar, but you need to look at it so you can see, like, this is coming up. This is the meetings I have today. This is what's happening at the end of this week, that sort of thing. So that is a habit that is really, really, really blessing my life.
So one of my habits along those lines, I read the book 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma.
Okay.
I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll put a link to it on the show. And every morning, I can't do 5 a.m. anymore. After I retired from the military.
Thank you for your service, by the way. Thank you for your service. Yes.
5:25 is when I'll get up.
Oh my gosh, that's still too early. Look, I'm trying to do 6:30 and it's up.
So I'll get up, I'll do either my devotional or read something that will teach me something.
Well, that's good.
I'll reflect, write in my journal, and I'll do some movement. I'll get some exercise, and that's my first exercise of the day. And then I'll do it again later on, where I'm reflecting on whether or not I met my achievements throughout the day at the end of the day.
That's good.
So, yeah, it's a good book along those same lines. But, Roy, this has been a great conversation. I cannot let you go because producer Nala definitely wants to chime in here.
Okay. No, I
So,
appreciate you having me, and thank you for your persistence because
yeah,
I know I was a difficult time trying to get scheduled, but I appreciate it because it's just good to connect too. And I like what you're doing, like the conversations that you're having, and I like your whole family. Your family is just amazing, and I know that's a
thank
part of
you,
you
man.
and Micheline, producing human beings who go out into the world and offer joy, and care for people. So yeah, and the spirit that both of y'all have is just it lights up a room. I love it. I love your guys' love too. That is wild, intimate, crazy, joyful. I mean, it's all the things. Like when I see you guys as a couple, I'm like, yeah, there's no limits to this. There's no box. Like just be yourself with your person
Yes.
and live life. So you guys exude light. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you. So, producer Nala.
Producer Nala on the mic. I have two fun questions for you
Okay.
that came up while I was listening. The first one, the semi-serious one, is what is your process for making new songs?
What is my process for making new songs? So there's a number of things. This time around, it's been interesting because my typical process has been I find a beat online that I love. So I'm just listening to beats, and I'm like, ooh, I like this beat. I want to write to it. And then I'll write to it. And so sometimes in that process, I find the beat first, and then I know, ooh, this song sounds like technology, and I want to write a song about technology. Or oftentimes in the STEM music world, for me, I already have the topic I want to write about because I'm either being commissioned to write the song, or I know that I have an aviation album, so I want to write a song about airplane forces. So I'll try to go find that beat. But with this album, all of the songs, I've had people make the beats. And that has been a totally different process of like, okay, here's what I want it to sound like, and having to communicate and get them to understand what the sonic needs to be. And that's been challenging because it's like I'm so used to just like you just scroll and you click on the beat and you listen and then you like it and then you go. So it's taken a lot. My patience, Jesus, my patience has been tested throughout this process. So that's been good. But then the other side of it, Born to Fly, that song was written just out of thin air. Like, I want to write a song that basically I just needed to encourage myself. That's where that song came from. I was just feeling low one day and I was like, I'm thinking about this album. I know I want to have a song that's like a gospel song or whatever, because this is a children's music album, but I don't know. I still want to put that version of me on it. And I was like, what would you write? I wanted to do with something fly. And then I thought about, I was born in Germany in Kaiserslautern because my father was in the army. And after 3 weeks of being, alive, I was on a plane back to the States. So I literally was born to fly. So it's a play on, the title is a play on. It's deep.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of how the thought started. But then I was having this low day and I was like, I just kind of felt like it's taking too long. Even though I learned that lesson, it's just like I have to keep relearning that lesson that in God's time. And so it was kind of like it's like a prophetic song for me. Like I was prophesying over myself saying, I was born to fly. I don't care if nobody sees, if nobody believes that I can do it, if nobody thinks that I know where God said I would be. So I just need to believe it and put that over my life. And so I just started writing that song. And like I said, didn't know how I was going to get it made, didn't know anything. And then to be talking about it to my friend and sing it, and then him go over to the piano and start playing the song. And I was just weeping, like weeping. And then not only that, for my friends who have the skill set, because he has a master's in music composition, to write and compose the music for the song so that string players could play and drummers and the guitarists and bassists. I mean, and vocalists, he arranged vocal parts. I mean, just incredible. So that's kind of the process.
I can definitely connect to the song Born to Fly and how you were born between countries. And just, I find that very funny because I have a very similar experience where my first name, Nala, is from the animated film The Lion King.
Yeah.
I have my degree in animation and I am absolutely in love with animation as a film, as an art form. And then my middle name being Monet, the artist who, not necessarily inspiring me, but I'm trying to put my name out there as the better Monet, And so just it's one of those things where sometimes you grow into your name and sometimes your name grows into you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's 30,000 different ways that I could have taken that. But for me, I was born to be an artist
Yeah.
and do something with art. And so now that I'm an art teacher at an elementary school, it's like, okay, we've got the art for the middle name and then the kidly childness of the elementary schoolness from the first Nala section of the name.
Yes. I had chills the whole time you were talking, by the way. I'm like, we're going to make history. That's all I feel right now. I'm just like, I just feel like, okay, awesome. This is amazing because it seems like you're very much in tune with your gifting and your purpose as well. Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah, that's what that whole song's about. It's just like the words. So you guys, it's coming out soon. I'm just so excited for people to hear it. It's 7 minutes long too, by the way. So it's like gospel. It's worship. It's like, but I'll spare you the verses. The verses are very, like personal and deep in the sense of like, so but the chorus is, I was born to fly. I was born to touch the sky. My dreams are taking off, going high. I was born to fly. I was born to fly. My forces are aligned in my life. I'm soaring as I reach new heights. I was born to fly. That whole thing about forces are aligned in my life. When I wrote that, I was like, that's not how I feel, but I'm prophesying. And it's so wild to be here now where I feel like everything is now back in alignment. I'm like, wow, you spoke that over yourself at the time, knowing like, I do not feel like my forces are aligned, but I'm gonna write it anyway. And then at the end of the song, the vamp, like when you go to a Black gospel church and there's that part of the song that just keeps going over and over, and you see people losing it, or you see people getting connected with God and all these different things. It says, gonna fly through the struggle, gonna fly through the pain, fly with a purpose, gonna fly with my faith, fly above it all, gonna fly every day, fly with the sun and the rain. And that
I
just
love that.
over and over. And that part that's the ministering part. That's like, I'm gonna fly. Like, I'm gonna, like, even if we have to, and it's very metaphor, it's very like related to real airplanes flying. Like airplanes sometimes have to stay, there's a ground stop because the weather is bad. And then after that storm rolls out, then planes are able to take off again. Okay, it's icy and it's snow, so they need to go through and get the product sprayed on the de-icing agent sprayed on the wing. So it's like there's different things you have to go. Sometimes you have a sunny day and you can just fly. But sometimes you have to go through the struggle, and the pain. But at the end of the day, you're still gonna fly,
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, the second question is, what is your go-to karaoke song? And I have the same question for my dad.
Karaoke is such a challenging thing for me. Don't judge me
Why?
out. It's challenging because I'm a real singer. And so when I go, I'll be like wanting to perform and everyone's just trying to have fun. But I would say, I think I've done often Superstition by Stevie Wonder, Adorned by Miguel. And there might be one other, but those are two common ones that I feel like come up.
Daddy?
So for me, I rarely sing in public. I think the last time I sang in public was when you and I sang at the Christmas party.
Okay. Wow, that's a minute.
That's a long time ago.
That's a minute.
Actually, no. I sung on the cruise and I butchered Kryptonite.
No.
But my go-to song would definitely have to be, and now I can't think of the song.
R&B, hip hop, rock.
Are you sure it's not Kryptonite?
No, it's not Kryptonite. It's an R&B song.
SWV, Weak?
Yeah. Weak, that's it. Oh.
Really? Okay. That's a song.
So
we can
speak.
Lose all control and something takes up. I was literally listening to that song going into the
Yes.
That song
What's
is
your background singer for that? I can do
yes. If that song's available, I'm singing that.
That's cool. That's a great song. I'll never forget middle school. These three girls did it at our talent show. And I was just so mesmerized. Cause like they were in dresses, like fancy dress, and they like had the chairs, they were standing on the chair and then coming, like they had this whole routine and they were singing the song. And I was like, this is amazing.
Awesome. Well, Roy, this has been great. Let the listeners know where to find you, where to reach out to you.
Yes. No, this was amazing. Thank you for this conversation and just reconnecting all the things. You can find me at Roy T3 on Instagram, ROYT and the number 3. And then on the Stem Music side, it's at The Stem Music. So THESTEMUSIC. Stem Music is all one word. And then the website for Stem Music is thestemmusic.com. and then also roymoye3music.com for the non-STEM music stuff. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. I will definitely get that out there. Roy, thank you.
Thank you.
Bills paid, locks laid, damn you can't even tell me nothing. Fresh J's from Babe, he knows how to treat a lady. And I'm so proud of where I am, don't need to spin the block again.
This episode was produced and edited by me, Nala Monet. Our intro is A Piece of the Pie by Alana Jordan, and our outro is Diamond Energy by Thija Renee and Trauma Center. The host of Catching Up with Corey is the man himself, and you can find him anywhere at Corey L. Stokes. If you have a story and you want to share it, use the link in the bio or description. Let's celebrate success together.
And I deserve it all. I deserve all that it brings.